A very good evening to all the students. Welcome to this live virtual class for Paper-3B Goods and Services Tax. I am CA Shefali Jain and I am a faculty for Indirect Tax Laws at Board of Studies. Today's session is basically on the topic of charge under charge of GST, and it will be taken by CA Arun Chajar sir. So he will be there uh, with us today. But before he joins the session, and I would like to cover the Schedule 3 provisions which we had left in the previous session, which was held on 8th of August, I suppose. Yes, 8th of August, that session was taken on supply under GST. So I quickly want to cover the Schedule 3 provisions, non-supplies under GST. So good evening, all the students, Amar, Pooja, and Deepika, Nitya, Mustafa. So I request to all of you that please send all your messages selecting everyone in the chat box. That makes us easy to access your messages. Now, without any delay, I'm starting the topic that when we had done in the supply chapter that under Schedule 1, these activities or transactions which do not have consideration but still they are considered deemed as supply. Schedule 2 classifies the supplies as supply of goods, supply of services. So now the Schedule 3. Schedule 3 provides you the supplies which are neither supply of goods nor supply of services. In fact, there are three ways of having the non-supplies under GST. That means which are not considered as supply. Non-supplies means which are not supply. So one is Schedule 3. Second is through a notification also, government can tell you that these are neither supply of goods nor supply of services. And the third one is the circular, through a circular also. Mansi, WhatsApp link you will get in the, when you join in the Zoom, you will get the WhatsApp link also. Okay. Okay. Prince is saying screen is not clear. Now, this problem I don't know. Some of the students have. I talked to my technical team, so they say that this is because of the some internet issue at the students' end. Is it so? Yes, Golti, Nanil, you have queries in charge topic. You can ask your queries when sir joins because I want to cover this topic first. It had been long pending now. So these are the three ways in which the supplies can be considered as non-supplies. So they will not be considered as supply even though they have consideration and they are in course of furtherance of business. Then also they will be considered as non-supplies. This is Schedule 3. So Schedule 3 has these entries: employer to employee, services provided by employee to employer, sorry, then services by court or tribunal, functions performed by MPs, MLAs, and funeral or burial services, then sale of land, sale of building. So we'll try to quickly cover all of them, actionable claims. And so for joining the WhatsApp group, there is a link, but I don't know how can I share. Manish, please allow me to copy this link if I can share it somewhere, or otherwise I will ask Ajit, my technical person, to share it with everyone. Okay. So any other students also who feel yes, because most of the students tell me that the screen is clear to them. Okay, but still, if anyone is facing issue, they can tell. Okay, RCM, FCM also Mustafa will do, but please let me complete it first. So first is any services provided by employee to employer, in course or in relation to his employment. Now, any person is an employment. So I have hired 10 employees. I are not hired. I have 10 employees in my company. Whatever salary I'm paying to them, because you pay salary to your employees. Now, this salary will not be taxable under GST because it is in Schedule 3, Para 1. So any salary given to your employees is not chargeable to GST. That is not a supply. So जो services employees employer को दे रहे हैं because of their employment, वो उनके employee हैं employer के, इसीलिए वो उनको services दे रहे हैं वो, और in lieu of that they are getting salaries. So that is not a supply. That is neither a supply of goods nor supply of services. अब उसमें कुछ हम थोड़ा सा जो ये तो सिंपल समझ में आता है कि ठीक है, एक कंपनी में, एक फर्म में, एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जो भी एम्प्लॉयज हैं, दे आर नॉट they are not giving any supplies to their employers in lieu of the salary. But certain other points where you might have a confusion are services provided by a casual worker. Now आपके जो डेली वर्कर्स हैं, आपकी एक कंस्ट्रक्शन साइट है, वहां आपने डेली वर्कर्स, डेली वेजेस पे आपने वर्कर्स को हायर किया हुआ है. सर्विसेज प्रोवाइडेड बाय कैजुअल वर्कर टू एम्प्लॉयर who give wages on daily basis to the workers. समझ में आ रहा है कि कंस्ट्रक्शन साइट पे बहुत सारे डेली वेजर्स होते हैं, दे आर कंसिडर्ड एज वर्कर इन द कोर्स ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट। अगर कंपनी उनको एज सैलरी ट्रीट कर रही है, उनकी जो वेजेस उनको दिए जा रहे हैं वेजेस की तरह ट्रीट किया जा रहा है, दे आर इन कोर्स ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट। दिस हैज बीन क्लैरिफाइड इन द प्री जीएसटी रेजिम ऑल्सो। सेकेंड वॉज कैजुअल वर्कर्स एम्प्लॉयड बाय कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स। ये वही है कैजुअल वर्कर्स जो कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स, मतलब उनको डेली वेजर्स नहीं है, बट वो कैजुअल वर्कर्स है, दे आर नॉट दी रेगुलर वर्कर्स, या वो कंपनी के एकदम ऑन रोल्स नहीं आते हैं, बट दे आर कैजुअल वर्कर्स विच आर एम्प्लॉयड फॉर कंस्ट्रक्शन बाय अ कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉन्ट्रैक्टर फॉर एग्जीक्यूशन ऑफ अ बिल्डिंग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट। दिस इज ऑल्सो सर्विस इन कोर्स ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट। तो जो उनको पैसे मिल रहे हैं वो सप्लाई नहीं है। Security agency has employed some security personals, casual workers. They are also not permanent workers. Then also they will be considered as services in course of employment. So I hope this is clear to you. Simple है बिल्कुल। हमने बताया कोई भी एम्प्लॉय किसी कंपनी का वो उसे सर्विस नहीं, वो उसे सप्लाई नहीं प्रोवाइड करता है। उसके कुछ एग्जाम्पल्स हमने किए जो कि बहुत एपरेंट नहीं है, लेकिन हाँ हमें इससे समझ में आता है कि हाँ ये भी इन कोर्स ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट ही, ये रिलेशनशिप भी इन कोर्स ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट है, जो भी हमने 3 एग्जाम्पल्स किए। नाउ नेक्स्ट वन इज डायरेक्टर। नाउ डायरेक्टर, अभी आपने इन द लास्ट क्लास इन चार्ज ऑफ जीएसटी, नाउ यू विल बी इन अ बेटर पोजिशन टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस एग्जाम्पल ऑल्सो, दैट अ इफ अ पर्सन इज अ डायरेक्टर, जो डेजिग्नेट, जो उसका मतलब वो है, रिलेशन है एक कंपनी के साथ, दैट इज डायरेक्टर। ही सो अन्नपूर्णा इज अ डायरेक्टर इन नीलगिरी लिमिटेड, बट इट रिसीव्स रेमुनरेशन विच इज डिक्लेयर्ड एज सैलरीज। लेकिन उसको जो पैसे मिल रहे हैं उसको आप सैलरीज की तरह कंपनी ट्रीट कर रही है। इससे पुराने वाले एग्जाम्पल्स भी सारे क्लियर होते हैं। इन द बुक्स ऑफ द कंपनी एंड सब्जेक्ट टू टीडीएस अंडर सेक्शन 192, और उस पे 192 में टीडीएस डिडक्ट हो रहा है, दैट मीन्स इट इज कंसिडर्ड एज सैलरी बाय द कंपनी वट एवर रेमुनरेशन अ कंपनी इज पेइंग टू इट्स डायरेक्टर। Then in that case, that director becomes the employee of the company, and whatever services that director is providing to the company will not be taxable at all, because it will not be a supply per se. And therefore, there will be no reverse charge. This you must have done, sir has told you in the last class. So this is also clear to you. This is also an example जहाँ पे हमें लग सकता है कि वो शायद employee नहीं होगा, but यहाँ पर वो employee है, because salary उसे पे की जा रही है और TDS उस पे deduct हो रहा है। Next is another example. Now ABC is an independent director. Now, as per the Companies Act, independent director can never be the employee. So, since he cannot be the employee of the company, therefore, independent director को जो भी sitting fee या जो भी remuneration दी जा रही है, that will be considered as supply. That means वो in course of employment नहीं होगी, that will not form part of Schedule 3. थोड़ा सा ध्यान से हमें समझना है. So if independent director is there, yeah, or the director is not an employee of the company. Independent director can never be the employee of the company, or if a director is not an employee of the company, then the services will be taxable. But if director is an employee, then he will fall in para 1 of Schedule 3. Simple. Now we come to the next point. So any employment is within the purview of para 1, but any contract work is not within the purview of para 1. If any contract is there, then it will not be under the purview. Contract और casual worker में फर्क है. Casual worker क्या है, आपने उसको it is not on your payroll, but आप उसको लेकर आए, आपने उसको काम करवाया और उसको जो भी wages, salary जो भी देनी है आपने दे दी और काम खत्म. Contract में the person is working on principal to principal basis. That means he has a freedom to do that work. अगर कोई contractual employee है, तो contractual employee को आप सैलरी, तो उसको आप नहीं मानोगे इट इज इन कोर्स ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट, क्योंकि उसका आप टीडीएस, उसको सैलरी पे नहीं करते हो, उसका आप टीडीएस सैलरी हेड में डिडक्ट नहीं करते हो. अंडर सेक्शन 192 यू डोंट डिडक्ट द टीडीएस. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट बेसिस पे दैट पर्सन हैज द अथॉरिटी टू वर्क विद इन हिज ओन मैनर, जबकि एम्प्लॉयर एम्प्लॉय रिलेशनशिप में एम्प्लॉयर हैज द कंट्रोल. दैट इज व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन एम्प्लॉयमेंट एंड कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. पर यहाँ पे फुल कंट्रोल होता है, जबकि इफ यू आर ऑन द contract work, you have that kind of freedom or discretion to work. So contractual employees are contractual workers, or contract to contract services provided on contract basis are not in course of employment. Okay. Next is Okay. Just a minute, Gulti. I'm clarifying your doubt. So any amount paid by employer to employee, and now this is again an example of not being in course of employment. In last class for supply, we had done that non-compete fees. That means you will not join my competitor's business. So any amount paid by employer to employee for not joining the competitor's business or competing business is non-compete fees that you will not join my competitor's business. You take this remuneration. It is not in course of employment. आप वो आपका employee है इसलिए नहीं दिया. Contractual agreement जो employer agreement है, employment का agreement, उसमें आप ये नहीं लिख के दे सकते कि I am paying this person 1 lakh rupees for not joining the XYZ business or XYZ company. So this non-compete fee is not in course of employment. In fact, ये आपने देखा था Schedule 2 में it is specifically termed as सर्विस. तो ये सप्लाई है और इसके ऊपर सर्विस, ये सर्विस की तरह कंसिडर किया जाता है. दिस इज नॉट इन कोर्स ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट. अगर आप नॉन कॉम्पीट फी अपने एम्प्लॉयर को पे कर रहे हो, देन इन दैट केस, दैट एम्प्लॉय को पे कर रहे हो, देन इन दैट केस दैट विल बी अ सप्लाई. दैट विल नॉट बी salary, that will not be the for in lieu of services provided by employee in course of employment. So it will not be covered in para 1. para 1 में ये cover नहीं होगा. In case security services providing security services company providing services for banks, hospitals, companies, yes, Golti, that will be applicable. GST will be applicable. There is no such bar. In yes, for banks, hospitals, companies, there is no exemption also, I suppose, and it is supply per se. So this is very no. So not only the consideration which the company is paying or the employer is paying in cash, any consideration paid in kind also, any perquisites provided by employer to employee, but those perquisites should be in terms of the contractual agreement entered into by employer to employee. They are also considered as in relation to his employment. अगर आपके employment contract में कुछ perquisites लिखे हुए हैं, they will also be considered as services provided by in lieu of services provided by employee for to the employer in course of employment. तो employment की वजह से ही आपको वो perquisites मिल रहे हैं. एग्जाम्पल क्या है? फ्री कैब फैसिलिटी आपको कंपनी ने दी है और ये सब कुछ आपके एम्प्लॉयमेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में लिखा होना चाहिए. देन इट विल नॉट बी अ सप्लाई पर से. कंपनी लीज हाउस प्रोवाइडेड एज पार्ट ऑफ जॉब और just a minute. Free meals company has provided. These type of perquisites companies generally provide. Free health checkups company has provided to its employees. So all these are considered as perquisites and they will also be, if they are in your employment contract, then they will be included in para 1 of schedule 3. Gym or club membership given to all employees are as part of HR policy, they will also be included here. Now we just want to have a quick recap of schedule 1 entry para 2, where we had an exception. Para 2 says that supply of services or goods between the related person. Employer and employee is a related person. So any supply of services between employer and employee without consideration was considered as supply. And there was an exception that if any gift is there, then that will be up to 50,000, that is not considered as supply. So here, if any services are provided by employee to employer, so this will override, you can say that, or this will stay ahead, that if any services are provided by employee to employer, they are related persons though, but any services are provided in course of employment. So अगर एम्प्लॉयर एम्प्लॉय जो कि रिलेटेड पर्सन है उसमें एम्प्लॉय कोई सर्विसेज एम्प्लॉयर को दे रहा है बिकॉज ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट, देन दैट विल नॉट बी कंसिडर्ड एज सप्लाई. अदरवाइज देन वी कैन सी, अगर आउट ऑफ एम्प्लॉयमेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं है देन वी कैन सी, और कोई सर्विसेज एम्प्लॉयर एम्प्लॉय को दे रहा है, सर्विसेज, गिफ्ट, गुड्स, एनीथिंग विच एम्प्लॉयर इज प्रोवाइडिंग टू एम्प्लॉय. सो अगर एम्प्लॉय एम्प्लॉयर को सर्विसेज दे रहा है and that is in contract of employment, that is because of contract of employment, that alone will get covered in schedule 3. but अगर employer employee को कोई services दे रहा है, कोई goods दे रहा है, gift दे रहा है, then that will not be covered in schedule 3. उसमें आपके पास एक प्रोवाइजो भी है कि 50,000 तक उसमें वो सप्लाई नहीं माना जाएगा बिकॉज ऑफ प्रोवाइजो टू पैरा 2 ऑफ शेड्यूल 1. अदरवाइज दैट विल बी कंसिडर्ड एज सप्लाई बाय वर्च्यू ऑफ पैरा 2. अगर वो 50,000 से ज्यादा का है 50,000 तक वो सप्लाई नहीं माना जाएगा, उसके ऊपर वो सप्लाई माना जाएगा. तो दिस इज द होल रिलेशनशिप ऑफ एम्प्लॉयर एंड एम्प्लॉय. So employer giving gift to employee, if it exceeds 50,000, then that will be a supply. Employee employer को अगर services दे रहा है because of contract of employment, that will not be considered as supply by virtue of para 1. अभी हम schedule 3 की पहले important entries कर लेंगे. कोर्ट ट्रिब्यूनल जो है वो कोई भी सर्विसेज सॉरी हाँ सर्विसेज वो देते हैं. दैट मीन्स एनी फाइलिंग फीस पेनल्टी whatever they are providing, so they are actually they have been taken out from the purview of GST कि उनकी फाइलिंग फीस पे पेनल्टी पे इन सब चीजों पे GST नहीं लगना चाहिए. दैट विल अनड्यू कॉज अ हार्डशिप टू द applicants or appellants. So that is why that has been taken out of the purview of GST. Similarly, members of parliament, अगर कोई they are performing any functions, member of state legislature, panchayat, municipality or local authorities, if they are providing any services or any functions, if they are performing, then that will also be in schedule 3. So they will not be considered as supply per se. Any duties performed by any person who holds a constitutional position, that means any position which is created or which he is holding in pursuance to the constitutional provisions. Now what are these type of posts? President of India. अब आप खुद ही ये मतलब थोड़ा obvious भी है. When you read these entries, you tend to feel that yes, these persons should not be levied any GST. So any services which President of India, Vice President of India is providing, no GST on them. They are not supply. Prime Minister, Governors, Chief Justice, Speakers of Lok Sabha, Chief Election Commissioner, CAG, then Chairman of UPSC. Yes, they are working for the nation. Very good. So good point, Goldi. Attorney General of India. So these services, any duties which these people are performing, they are not considered as supply per se. Any duties performed by any person as a chairperson, as a member, as a director in the body established by central government or state government or local authority. Now, chairman, member, director of any body. Now, these are the examples of those bodies which we are talking about. Then and they are not considered as employee before the commencement of this clause. So they are not considered as employee. Otherwise, they would have been included in para 1. So since they are termed as chairman, chairperson, member, or they are director of these bodies established by the state or central government or local authorities, then they will also be their service, the duties performed by them will also not be included in the supply definition. They are neither supply of goods nor supply of services. So these examples are RBI, ISRO, then we have the CBI or Income Tax Department, CBIC, and then we have DTC, DDA authority, and then public PWD, Public Works Department or Municipal Corporation. This is not an example. Okay. Now we come to para 4. Para 4 is also simple. Funeral or burial or crematorium services or mortuary, including transportation of the deceased. Any services. Now this is also for the benefit of the society at large, that we should not charge any GST in such a case. When a person is leaving the world, then in that case, he should on any services relating to that, GST should not be charged on that. So I think this makes sense also, that services of funeral, burial, crematorium or mortuary, and including transportation of the deceased person, because ambulance services otherwise are supply, but these are not supply per se. They are otherwise exempt, that is a different thing, but they are considered as supply. But these are not supply per se. Yes, Gulti. So we generally treat them as gods as per Hindus. Gods, you feel that this is the time when we should not tax them. At least we should leave tax at that point of time. Now, Schedule 3, Para 5. In fact, I think this also we had discussed when we were discussing Schedule 2. In Schedule 2, Para 5E, we had discussed that construction services are considered as supply of services. Now, what were construction services? Where in case of any construction services provided relating to a complex or a building, but where the entire consideration has not been paid after the completion of that particular structure complex, some consideration has been paid and in at the time of construction, or any under construction building if you are purchasing, then that is considered as construction service. But if you are, suppose you are taking a building after completion, so after the completion certificate has been received, then you went and you purchased that building. So entire consideration you are giving after completion of the building. Then in that case, that will be considered as sale of building. Okay, that will not be considered as construction services. और जैसे ही वो सेल ऑफ बिल्डिंग बनती है वो आपका शेड्यूल 3 में आ जाता है और इसीलिए वो सप्लाई ही नहीं रहती है. लास्ट टाइम ऑल्सो वी डिड दैट, मेनी स्टूडेंट्स आस्क मी दिस क्वेश्चन कि अगर वो कंस्ट्रक्शन सर्विसेज नहीं है तो फिर वो क्या होगा. देन इन दैट केस दैट विल बी सेल ऑफ बिल्डिंग. और सेल ऑफ लैंड तो हमें समझ में आता है इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी है, इट इज नॉट गुड्स, इट इज नॉट सर्विसेज. So that is why it will be outside the purview of supply definition, and that has been expressly mentioned in Schedule 3. Yes, Anil is asking, after completion of building, we are paying the entire consideration. That is a different thing. It is taxable under capital gains, but it is not goods, it is not services, so we cannot include it in the purview of GST. Okay. So I hope students you are getting this point. Please give me in the chat box, go ahead that yes, you have understood all the points till now, so that I can start after this point. Because today I'm seeing very less messages. So what is the reason for that? Is it because you have to send your messages to everyone? Okay, Medha is saying understood. Mustafa is also saying this. Good. Purnima is also saying you have understood. Chalo. I got some reassurance that you are all are understanding. Okay, Amar, Riddhi, good. So now the actionable claims. Next is actionable claims. Actionable claims also we had done in great detail when we were doing the definition of goods. You remember? We said actionable claims are goods. अब actionable claims अगर goods हैं, चलो good, thank you. I am getting so many messages of all of you that you have understood. Aishwarya, Satish, Adil, Mujahid, Purnima. Mustafa is saying you have to complete the topic, so we can't ask you any questions. Mustafa, that is not the case. You can ask me the questions, but I want to cover it a bit quickly. But yes, after completing the topic, maybe I will give you 1 or 2 minutes to ask the doubt. Thank you, Krutika, for letting me know that you have understood. Actionable claims are goods. अब actionable claims goods हैं, तो फिर हमने यहाँ पर डाला, इसका मतलब फिर से goods की definition में डाल के हम यहाँ पर क्यों डाल रहे हैं उनको कि ये actionable claims are not supply. Because actionable claims for goods, we said that actionable claims will be considered as supply. Supply of goods होनी चाहिए और actionable claims of goods हैं तो supply of actionable claims will be supply. That is what we had earlier read, that Schedule 3 excludes those activities or transactions which otherwise you can assume as supplies, but वो तब भी उनको outside it brings them outside the purview of GST, because वो expressly बताता है. तो ऐसी भी entries आपको Schedule 3 में मिलेंगी जो लग रहा है कि ये goods ये supply है, but फिर भी हम उनको supply से बाहर निकाल रहे हैं. Actionable claims is one of them. So some specified actionable claims have been put in the purview of GST, in the purview of supply, except that all other actionable claims have been excluded. Renting of so rent areas are there, insurance claims are there, so वो सब बाहर है. सिर्फ ये 6 स्पेसिफाइड एक्शनेबल क्लेम्स है जिसको गवर्नमेंट टैक्स करना चाहती है. बाकी सब एक्शनेबल क्लेम्स को गवर्नमेंट ने सप्लाई की डेफिनेशन से बाहर निकाल दिया. ये 6 स्पेसिफाइड एक्शनेबल क्लेम्स क्या है आप देखोगे, इन सब में थोड़ा एक एलिमेंट ऑफ गैम्बल है, जैसे हॉर्स रेसिंग, लॉटरी, ऑनलाइन मनी गेमिंग, betting, casinos, and gambling. So all these 6 forms of actionable claims, I will give you the notes also, आप इसको याद कर पाओगे. Horse racing, lottery, online money gaming, then betting, casinos, and gambling. These 6 forms of actionable claims are within the purview of supply. Otherwise, all actionable claims are outside the purview of supply. They are neither supply of goods nor supply of services. So I hope this is clear. Yes, the reason can be this, Kuldeep. And second thing is, first is to discourage these activities. And second thing, if somebody wants to do those activities, then he should pay a higher rate of tax also. So that is what the intention of government is. इसलिए इन 6 activities को रखा, बाकी सारे actionable claims को उन्होंने supply से बाहर कर दिया. ठीक है? Okay. So specified actionable claims are supply. Now, other forms of actionable, some other examples are claims for future rents, arrears of rent, unsecured loans भी हमने last time किया था, that is also an actionable claim, bills of exchange, promissory note, something which you can sue in the court of law for recovering that amount. Insurance claim, आप insurance claim के लिए court of law जा सकते हो if the insurer does not pay you that amount. Okay, next one. नाउ 7 और 8 एंट्री जो है वो आपके सिलेबस में इंटरमीडिएट लेवल पे नहीं है, दैट इज एट द फाइनल लेवल बिकॉज इट समवेयर पर्टेन्स टू एक्सपोर्ट और इम्पोर्ट, क्रॉस बॉर्डर ट्रांजेक्शन्स उसमें इन्वॉल्व है. अब हम आते हैं 9 और 10 एंट्री पैरा पे. तो ये थोड़ा सा ध्यान से समझने वाला है. Activity of apportionment of co-insurance premium. In fact, instead of reading this, I will straight away explain you what is a co-insurance agreement. Let us take this example. Yati Industries is the person who wants to get an insurance. Yati Industries ADC insurer, दो इंश्योरर से उसने इंश्योरेंस लिया. एक है एडीसी इंश्योरेंस और एक है एक्सवाईजी इंश्योरेंस. बिकॉज सपोज अमाउंट वाज बिग, उसको 50 लाख उसे लगा मैं एक इंश्योरर को नहीं देती, सो दैट रिस्क गेट दैट इंडस्ट्री फेल्ट दैट द रिस्क विल गेट डिवाइडेड. So it gave this contract to ADC insurance as well as XYZ Limited, and the ratio of the division was 60%, 40%. So 60% risk was of ADC and 40% was of XYZ. And one of them has to be not in, this is called co-insurance contract. That means two persons are jointly doing that insurance contract. 30 lakhs, 20 lakhs, Golti, very good. So Anil has determined the amount of premium also, and that is very good. Deepika is saying about perquisites and gifts by employer to employee, which comes under Schedule 1 and now explained in Schedule 3 is, yes, it is same. It is same, Deepika. Same point has been explained in the study material in Schedule 1. I have taken it to Schedule 3 to give you a combined or full view or full idea of the employer-employee services, their relationship, whatever services, goods they are providing. That is why I have kept it here. Now, in this case, co-insurance, so for 60%, 40% they are sharing. That means the 30 lakhs and 20 lakhs is the premium which they are sharing. Now, what will happen? Here the ADC insurance is the lead insurer. इन दोनों में से एक lead insurer होगा और एक co-insurer होगा. So ये जो lead insurer जिसने lead लेनी है, वो अपना पूरा insurance premium इससे ज्ञाति इंडस्ट्री से insured person से लेगा और उसके ऊपर टैक्स पे कर देगा. इट विल पे सीजीएसटी, एसजीएसटी, आईजीएसटी, जो भी लेवेबल है, सेस वगैरह, व्हाटएवर लाइबिलिटी अंडर जीएसटी लॉ इज देयर, इट विल डिस्चार्ज द एंटायर जीएसटी लाइबिलिटी ऑन द फुल प्रीमियम. पूरे फुल प्रीमियम पे वो पूरी लाइबिलिटी दे देगा, जो कि को इंश्योरर का भी उसमें अमाउंट होगा. इट विल इन केस इट इज पेइंग, क्योंकि को इंश्योरेंस एग्रीमेंट में होता ही है. सो इट विल पे द एंटायर जीएसटी लाइबिलिटी लीड इंश्योरर, एंड लीड इंश्योरर विल गिव द को इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम टू द को इंश्योरर. लीड इंश्योरर उसमें से को इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम का अमाउंट जो को इंश्योरर का बनता था, 50 लाख में से 20 लाख बिलोंग टू XYZ, तो ये 20 लाख वो इसको दे देगा. अब एक 50 लाख के ऊपर पूरा टैक्स लग गया. ये एंट्री 9 और 10 का प्रेमाइस क्या है कि किसी भी चीज पे दो बार टैक्स नहीं लग सकता, किसी अमाउंट पे दो बार टैक्स नहीं लगना चाहिए. दैट इज व्हाई दीज टू एंट्रीज हैव कम. सो जब हमने पूरे प्रीमियम पे एक बार लीड इंश्योरर से टैक्स ले लिया, तो जब लीड इंश्योरर ने उसका को इंश्योरेंस वाला अमाउंट को इंश्योरर को दिया, तो को इंश्योरर शुड नॉट बी अगेन टैक्स्ड. और ये जो एक्टिविटी है, इसने इसको प्रीमियम जो दिया उसके बदले में इसने इंश्योरेंस सर्विसेज भी दी, इसका रिस्क एंड रिवॉर्ड भी उसने वो किया, डिवाइड किया. So this co-insurance premium is not a supply. जो इसने इसको co-insurance premium दिया, the activity of apportionment of premium, that is what is said here. See, the activity of apportionment of co-insurance premium by the lead insurer to the co-insurer for the insurance services jointly supplied by the lead insurer and co-insurer to the insured in a co-insurance agreement. I think इस example से आपको ये सारे words जो आप पढ़ रहे हो clear होने चाहिए. Subject to the condition that lead insurer pays the tax amount, GST amount, on the entire amount of premium paid by the insured. Insured जो ज्ञाति इंडस्ट्रीज थी, उसने 50 लाख रुपए का प्रीमियम दिया था, पूरे पे एडीसी इंश्योरेंस लीड इंश्योरर ने टैक्स पे कर दिया. तो इसलिए अब जब वो लीड इंश्योरर उसमें से को इंश्योरर का अमाउंट उसको प्रीमियम का देगा, तब उस पर दोबारा टैक्स नहीं लगेगा. एंड दैट इज व्हाट हैज कम इन शेड्यूल 3. दैट इज नॉट अ सप्लाई. Let us come to the next point. Para 10. Para 10 कहता है, again we'll take the example and we'll understand it. एक insured person, he approaches ABC Insurance Limited. अभी उसे PQR को वो नहीं जानता. वो एबीसी इंश्योरेंस के पास आया, उसने बोला 50, मेरा 5 करोड़ रुपए का इंश्योरेंस करना है जिसमें मेरा 50 लाख रुपए का प्रीमियम बन रहा है। आप मुझे जो है आ, ये बताओ कि इसका मुझे मतलब आप ये मेरे लिए इंश्योरेंस कर दो। अब नाउ एबीसी इंश्योरेंस लिमिटेड इज अंडर दिस फियर कि इतना बड़ा अमाउंट है मेरा जो इंश्योरेंस का मुझे देना है, तो आई शुड ऑल्सो फर्दर गिव इट, मतलब सब कॉन्ट्रैक्टिंग जिसको आप कह सकते हो कि आई शुड गेट इट री इंश्योर्ड। थोड़ा अमाउंट मैं भी किसी और से इसको आगे ट्रांसफर कर देता हूँ, थोड़ा मैं भी इसको आगे री इंश्योर कर देता हूँ कुछ अमाउंट के लिए, सो दैट माई विल बी रिस्क एंड फाइनेंशियल एक्सपोजर विल बी शेयर्ड। तो एबीसी इंश्योरर ने आगे इसको पीक्यूआर को री इंश्योर कर दिया। इट एंटर्ड इनटू अ री इंश्योरेंस एग्रीमेंट विद पीक्यूआर दैट, एंड इट डिड नॉट टेल हिम एनीथिंग। उसने बोला कि आपको एक इंश्योरेंस एग्रीमेंट में दे रहा हूं जिसमें कि आपको, दिस इज अ री इंश्योरेंस एग्रीमेंट, पीक्यूआर को पता होगा, एंड यू विल गेट अ प्रीमियम ऑफ ₹20 लाख फॉर दैट। री इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम मिलेगा आपको 20 लाख का। तो ये जो री इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम पीक्यूआर को मिल रहा है, नॉर्मली क्या होता है, री इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम पे इंश्योरर हैज टू पे द टैक्स। तो यहां पर अभी हम पहले सिर्फ इतना करते हैं कि री इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम ये एबीसी पीक्यूआर को दे रहा है और एबीसी को पूरा प्रीमियम 50 लाख रुपए का मिल रहा है। सो एबीसी विल पे टैक्स ऑन दिस 50 lakhs and PQR will pay tax on this 20 lakhs. This is the simple transaction which will undertake. अब एक थर्ड ट्रांजेक्शन और है, वो ये है कि अब एबीसी ने पीक्यूआर को री इंश्योरेंस कर मतलब इंश्योरेंस दिया। सो इट हैज एक्चुअली, इट मस्ट हैव इंकर्ड सम एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव कॉस्ट फॉर गिविंग दिस री इंश्योरेंस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट। उसने उसको बिजनेस भी लाके दिया, उसने अपना जो कुछ प्रीमियम है, इट हैज एक्चुअली सरेंडर्ड, और इट हैज फोरगोन इट्स प्रीमियम पार्ट ऑफ इट्स कॉन्ट्रैक्ट विद पीक्यूआर। उसने अपना शेयर किया कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पीक्यूआर के साथ, पीक्यूआर को बिजनेस लाके दिया। For that, a ceding commission is given by PQR to ABC. तो यहां पे तो वो री इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम दे रहा है जिसके ऊपर टैक्स पीक्यूआर ने पे कर दिया, बट इसके बदले में, ये बिजनेस लाने के बदले में, पीक्यूआर इसको सीडिंग कमीशन पे करता है। दैट मीन्स इसको भी कुछ कंसिडरेशन एबीसी को बदले में मिलता है। इसका रिस्क रिवॉर्ड सब शेयर हो रहा है, बट पीक्यूआर को बिजनेस भी मिल रहा है, पीक्यू एबीसी कुछ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव कॉस्ट और बाकी सब चीजें भी इंकर कर रहा है, इसको तो सीधा सीधा प्रीमियम मिल रहा है। So in that case, this ceding commission of ₹1 lakh, this will not be considered as a supply. इस पे दोबारा टैक्स नहीं लगेगा। उसका कारण क्या है? उस पे दोबारा टैक्स नहीं लगेगा। उसका कारण क्या है कि 20 lakhs का जो प्रीमियम था उस पे पूरा टैक्स पीक्यूआर ने दे दिया। अब अगर वो उसमें से कुछ अमाउंट सीडिंग कमीशन की तरह भी दे देता है, दैट मीन्स द सीडिंग कमीशन इज जनरली व्हाट इज डन, दिस पर्सन एबीसी विल पे 20 minus 1 lakh, that is 19 lakhs, generally how it is taken, this is paid to PQR. Okay, so this is how it is undertaken. 20 minus 19 उसको दे देता है, ये 1 लाख का सीडिंग कमीशन वो एबीसी जो है वो पीक्यूआर को, सीडिंग कमीशन एबीसी पीक्यूआर से ले लेता है कि मैंने आपको बिजनेस ला के दिया इसलिए आपसे 1 लाख का कमीशन काट के तब मैं आपको 19 लाख रुपीज दूंगा, एंड दिस इज नॉट कंसिडर्ड एज सप्लाई, क्योंकि यहाँ पर पूरा 20 लाख टैक्स हो गया है, इसलिए 19 lakhs पे दोबारा टैक्स नहीं लगेगा। हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस पैरा 9 मेधा, इट विल बी देयर इन May 26 बुक्स, आपकी बुक में लास्ट में दिया होगा। हाँ, ओके दीपिका, यू गॉट इट। देयर इज स्टिल पैरा 6, 7 8 आपके सिलेबस में नहीं है। 9 और 10 विल बी दोज हु हैव द अर्लियर एडिशंस, May 25 जनवरी 26 तक की जिनके पास बुक्स हैं उनके लास्ट में होगा। ओके ओके, सो सर हैज ज्वाइंड, अरुण छाजर सर हैज ज्वाइंड, and I have covered all the clauses of Schedule 3. So with this, I will take your leave. In case anybody has any doubt, so sir can also clarify. Otherwise, I will also join at the, maybe if possible, I will join at the end of the session. You can ask your queries that time also. So around 8:25, I will join. You can ask your queries pertaining to this Schedule 3. Sir, you can, should I stop sharing?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So good evening to all. So again, my request everyone, please select the name of everyone while doing the message. आप सभी लोग एवरीवन का नाम सेलेक्ट करके मैसेज करना ताकि मुझे एक साथ दिखाई देता रहेगा. वेरी गुड इवनिंग. सो स्टार्ट करें डिस्कशन. In the last class, I have left the 9 subsection 5 to whom we are calling as deemed supplier, in which we have discussed the 4 transactions. 4 transactions we have discussed. Can you quickly tell me any 2 names which all transactions are covered in the 9 subsection 5? Any 2 transactions which all transactions are covered in the 9 subsection 5? आप मुझे सिर्फ 2 ट्रांजेक्शन का नाम बता दीजिए जो 9 सबसेक्शन 5 में कवर होते हैं. We have discussed in the last class there are the 4 transactions. Okay. When is the last class happen? Okay. I think it was Sunday. Restaurant, right? Correct. See, what is the concept of 9 subsection 5? What is the concept of 9 subsection 5? What is the concept of 9 subsection 5? Try to understand. I am telling you the concept of deemed supplier. The deemed supplier means let's say Mr. A is an actual supplier, is making the supply through ECO to Mr. B. In this case, who is actual supplier? Mr. A. But for the purpose of the liability to pay the tax, for the purpose to pay the liability, the GST treat this e-commerce operator as deemed supplier. It is called as 9 subsection 5. It is called as 9 subsection 5. It means who will pay the tax to the government? E-commerce operator. The perfect example, there are the total 4 transactions. There are the total 4 transactions which we have discussed in the last class, and I am able to see the only 5 or 6 reply. ऐसे नहीं चलेगा ना दोस्त. Can I expect some reply? That which all transactions are covered in the 9 subsection 5. These are the transactions which are covered in the 9 subsection 5. First, I can say just for the purpose of remembering the provision. First is Ola Uber. Second is MMT, Make My Trip, Oyo Rooms, Urban Clap. Third is Urban Clap. And fourth is Zomato Swiggy. Now try to understand. It means suppose I am a driver, but I am making the passenger transportation service to you. You have booked through Ola app. Then in this case, I have my own car. I am the driver. You are my customer. Then who is the actual supplier? I am actual supplier. But for the purpose of the GST, the Ola and Uber, who are the mediator, e-commerce operator, will be considered as deemed supplier. Government will collect the tax from Ola Uber, not from me. Okay. Then in this case, they have made one exception regarding the omnibus. They are saying service by transportation of passenger by radio taxi, motor cab, maxi cab, motorcycle, or any other motor vehicle, but they have excluded the omnibus. Now you have to tell me why they have excluded. Let me explain you the clause B and you tell me the intention. Why the government has introduced this exception. Let me tell you, service by way of the transportation of passenger by a omnibus, except where the passenger supply the service by ECO is a company. Now there are the two possibility. If supplier is company and if supplier is other than company, making the supply through ECO to Mr. B, who is passenger. Now first tell me, if the supplier is the company, whether ECO will pay the tax or the company will pay the tax. According to the clause B, एक बार आप read कीजिए, give me the answer if the omnibus is being supplier is the company and providing through Ola Uber to the Mr. B, who will be the supplier, who will be considered as supplier. What is ECO? ECO is beta e-commerce operator like Ola Uber. Electronic platform. They are providing the platform between supplier and customer to do the business. In that case, who will pay the tax? Who will pay the tax if the omnibus are being supplied? Supplier of the omnibus, transportation of passenger by omnibus, is the company. Who will pay the tax? You all are saying company. Let's say if it is other than company, then who will pay the tax? If it is other than company, then who will pay the tax? Absolutely correct, beta. Absolutely correct. Now tell me only one answer. Now tell me only one answer. I'll really appreciate the concept that you have developed. अब आप मुझे सिर्फ एक आंसर दीजिए, ये company or other than company, why they have created the difference? Why they have created the difference? What is the biggest advantage or the loss? Why they have created this difference? What would be the advantage or what would be the loss? Because company can escape. Okay. Okay. Company is registered. Okay. Now, what is the advantage from the GST perspective? Tell me your answer from the GST perspective. What would be the advantage to the company who is supplying the transportation of passenger by omnibus? उस कंपनी को क्या बेनिफिट होगा इस क्लॉज बी के कारण? क्या एडवांटेज होगा उस कंपनी को इस क्लॉज बी के कारण? I'm requesting everyone to give the answer. Very important question to all of you to understand the logic. Why this clause has been inserted in the law? Simply let me ask you the same question in a different manner. If any transaction, like whether urban company, Ola, Uber, Oyo Rooms, Make My Trip, Swiggy, Zomato. Tell me one answer. Let's say I am having the hotel. Hotel will not be the perfect example. Let's say motor vehicle. I am having the motor cab providing through Ola, Uber to the Mr. B. Motor cab. I'm not talking about omnibus. I am not talking about omnibus. If it is motor cab, service supplied through Ola, Uber to Mr. B, we all know that tax will be paid by the Ola, Uber. Now, whether this motor cab company or motor cab whom supplier has purchased the cab, can he claim the ITC? In this case, can he claim the ITC when the tax is being paid by the Ola, Uber? When the tax is being paid by the Ola, Uber, can this party claim the ITC? Can the supplier claim the ITC? The answer is no. The problem is that omnibus, which will be the sizable expenditure, and the supplier is the company, then they are saying the liability would not be on the Ola, Uber, liability would be on the company. What is the advantage? Advantage would be company can claim the ITC on the purchase of the omnibus, etc. अरे अनिल एक चीज बताओ, if this company has purchased the omnibus from any party, obviously this company will purchase the omnibus, then will they not claim the ITC of that omnibus? See, on every transaction there could be the inward supply. Now here I am talking about not the transportation of passenger service. I am not talking about the ITC. I am talking about the ITC of the purchase of the omnibus. So who is the recipient for omnibus? Who is the recipient for purchasing the omnibus? The company, right? The company would be entitled to claim the ITC because now they will pay the tax. Correct? You all now, one is restaurant. I'm moving to the another point. Restaurant is making the supply through Zomato, Swiggy to Mr. B. Answer is no, Sri Kumar. If non-company purchase the omnibus, so and outward supply is through Ola, Uber, we will pay the tax. Sri Kumar, tell me, if I am the non-company, I have purchased the omnibus and I am rendering that transportation of passenger service. Sir, confusing us mix all issue operator. Is it a confusion? Let me repeat again. Let me repeat again once again. Here I am talking about first transaction, transportation of passenger. Transportation of passenger. It is motor cab, motorcycle, any service provided through e-commerce operator to any passenger. Then who will pay the tax? ECU will pay the tax. Is this clear? Any doubt? एक बार कंफर्म करते रहना आप मुझे. Is this clear? Any doubt? Now, the supplier of the motor cab, motorcycle, when he purchase the motorcycle, will he be entitled to take the ITC of the motorcycle? will he be entitled to take the ITC of the motorcycle? What is the ITC? Okay. ITC is input tax credit. Input tax credit, because he is not paying the tax to the government, he is not paying the tax to the government. This e-commerce operator is paying the tax, so he would not be entitled to take ITC. One second. See, how to take ITC? Leave it. Meda, leave it because this topic is yet to be touched. This is not yet covered, so I am removing this concept, ITC wala. I'm just removing the concept of ITC. Leave it because this topic is yet to be covered. So I'm not going to enter into that topic because it will create the confusion a lot. Okay. So what we are talking about 9 subsection 5. 9 subsection 5 means who will pay the tax to the government if 4 category of the transaction. No problem, beta. No problem. Let me start again. I will not use the concept of ITC because ITC chapter yet to be covered by another faculties. So I am talking about 4 category of the transaction. The first category, when transportation of passenger, service are being rendered through e-commerce operator. Then the tax will be paid by the e-commerce operator. In this case, they have divided in 2 parts. Whether it is motorcycle, maxi cab, motor cab, any other vehicle, the situation would remain same. The issue will pay the tax. Only one exception, if the service provider is the company and providing the service by way of the transportation of passenger through omnibus. Means what is the vehicle? Omnibus. Who is the service provider? Company. In this case, if they provide through ECO, then also ECO will not pay the tax. This company will pay the tax, like forward charge transaction. Is this point clear to all? So in other words, I can say the company who provide the transportation of passenger through omnibus. Company who provide the transportation of passenger through omnibus, even they are providing through e-commerce operator, they will not be covered in the 9.5. They will not be covered in the 9.5. Okay. What is the next transaction? The next transaction is service by way of providing the accommodation in the hotel, in guest house, campsite, or any other commercial place, means for residential or lodging purpose. Third is service by way of the housekeeping, plumbing, carpenting, etc. And last is restaurant service. Here they are saying, now I'm saying this category. So they would be entitled to take input tax credit, whatever the company purchase the omnibus. So if I am paying the tax under forward charge, I would be entitled to take the ITC of all my input and input service and capital goods. Now, if you see the category C and category D, if you see the category C and the category D, they are different from other category. They are different from other category. In which sense they are different from other category? Read the exception. Read the exception. it means in rest of the category, the liability to pay the tax would always be on the ECO, whether actual supplier is registered or actual supplier is not registered. Example, if driver is registered in the GST and providing the radio taxi through e-commerce operator, whether driver is registered or not registered, in both the cases, the liability to pay the tax would be on the e-commerce operator. Clause A, clause B, and the clause E. But in the clause C and the clause D, they are giving one exception. They are saying the e-commerce operator would be liable only if supplier is not registered. Take an example. If I am having my hotel and you are taking the hotel accommodation, make my trip, who will pay the tax? Now we have to see whether I am registered in the GST or not registered in the GST. Assume that if I am not registered in the GST, liability would be on the e-commerce operator. If I am registered in the GST, they will not be liable, I would be liable. This exception is in the clause C and the clause D. Is this difference is clear? Is this difference is clear? The clause C and the clause D, how they are different from other categories. Now, there are some clarification given on the 9.5, which we are discussing. See, have you heard about the TCS under GST? Have you heard the concept TCS under GST? It is not yet covered, it will come in the future. But you know basic concept. If he is registered, then issue is not responsible, clause C and the clause D. Absolutely correct, beta. Absolutely correct. So TCS under GST, I'm asking you. I will not explain, I'm just asking you. See, normally, when you make the supply through e-commerce operator, then the provision of the TCS would be applicable. There are certain exceptions that you will discuss in the relevant chapter. I'm not touching upon that. There is a different chapter. What is the point I like to highlight? The TCS provisions will not be applicable on the 9.5 transaction. Correct, na? So if example क्या हो सकता है? I am having the shops and I am making the supply of the goods through Amazon, through Blinkit. I'm making the supply of the goods through Amazon Blinkit to you. Then Amazon and the Blinkit will collect the TCS on my sale. But if it is 9.5 transaction, the TCS will not be applicable. Point number 1. ECO not required to take separate registration for paying the tax. Restaurant service supplied through them. So in the GST, there could be the different category of registration. One is the regular category. Now we will talk about one more category, composition category. Correct? There could be one more category like TCS category, TDS category. There could be the multiple category in the GST. In the 9.5 category, those e-commerce operator are not required to take separate registration. Whatever they will have the regular registration, in that regular registration only, they will report this restaurant transaction. They will report the 9.5 transaction. Government has inserted separate table for 9.5 transaction in the GSTR1 and GSTR3B. I am repeating once again, the 9.5 e-commerce operator who will definitely have the regular registration. For the 9.5 transaction, they are not required to take separate any other registration. Their regular category of the registration will work. In the R1-3B, there is a separate table. Those e-commerce operator would require to report the transaction. That's it. Okay. E-commerce operator will pay the tax, correct, on this transaction. Now, this is very important. Tell me one thing. The one is restaurant. Okay. Making the supply through Zomato, Swiggy to the Mr. B. Now, this sale is two sale or only one sale? This transaction is two transaction or only one transaction? Okay. Answer is, what is the answer? I'll tell you in the ones. Just wait for 1 minute. Tell me one thing. In this case, Zomato, Swiggy are paying the tax, whether it will be called as RCM, that Zomato, Swiggy are paying the tax under RCM. Will it be called as RCM? No. Okay. Tell me one more thing. This sale will be added in the restaurant in the calculation of aggregate turnover, or Swiggy, Zomato, or both? This sale would be added in the aggregate turnover in the restaurant, in the Swiggy, Zomato, or both? Great. Now try to understand this. This point is important. To understand. This is restaurant. Making the supply through Swiggy to Mr. B. Is there any, who will pay the tax? The tax will always be paid by the Swiggy. Am I right? The tax will always be paid by the Swiggy, by the e-commerce operator. Tax will always be paid by the Swiggy, whether restaurant is registered or unregistered. In both the cases, the tax will be paid by the e-commerce operator. Is it a two transaction? Answer is no. It is a single transaction. Sale by the restaurant to Mr. B. It appears that they are making the sale to Swiggy and Swiggy are making the sale to B. It appears so, but in the eyes of the GST, it is a single transaction. Next, the amount of the sale will be added in the aggregate turnover of restaurant, not in the Swiggy. Amount of turnover will not be added in the Swiggy. सेल जो होगी वो स्विगी की टर्नओवर का पार्ट नहीं बनेगी, इवन दो स्विगी आर पेइंग द टैक्स. It is clarified that aggregate turnover of the person supplying the restaurant service shall be computed in accordance with the definition of aggregate turnover and shall include the aggregate turnover, aggregate value of supplies made by the restaurant. Accordingly, the threshold or any other purpose, the person providing the restaurant service shall account for such service in the aggregate turnover. किसी को कोई डाउट है, please ask. Swiggy charge the commission. Absolutely correct. That is different transaction. Obviously, Swiggy will not do in the free. Swiggy will charge the commission. That is altogether a different transaction. That commission part would be added in the Swiggy. No problem. But here we are talking about the sale of the food. Sale of the food. Sale of the restaurant services would be added in the restaurant only, even though the tax is being paid by the Swiggy Zomato, but it will not be counted in the aggregate turnover. Why Swiggy is responsible to pay the tax? Because of 9 subsection 5. Aditya, because of 9 subsection 5, government is saying that Swiggy will pay the tax, and that is the reason Swiggy are paying the tax. Swiggy's platform, no doubt. Till the time this amendment, this new category was not added, restaurant was paying the tax in the beginning, 17, 18, 19, 20. But once they have added in the 9.5 restaurant service, after that, Swiggy will pay the tax. Is it clear? Now, reversal of the proportionate ITC on input goods and service not required by the ECU. Important, very important question. Let me try to explain. The e-commerce operator. Just now you told that ECU will charge some commission. Na? ECU will charge some commission. अनिल लास्ट जब क्लास कंप्लीट होगी ना तब मैं ये पॉइंट एक्सप्लेन कर दूंगा, बट एक बार हम ये चैप्टर कंप्लीट कर लेते हैं, अदरवाइज चैप्टर कंप्लीट नहीं होगा. ठीक है ना? विल डेफिनेटली डिस्कस. ठीक है, पहले एक बार चैप्टर कंप्लीट कर लेते हैं एंड देन विल कम टू द एंड, देन आई विल डिस्कस दिस पॉइंट. एक बार मुझे रिमाइंड करवा देना. तो जब ये कमीशन चार्ज करता है, when they are e-commerce operator are charging the commission, then they are charging the commission and also charging the GST on that commission. Do you agree with this? They will raise the invoice under the forward charge mechanism to restaurant, to whomsoever. Do you agree with this? They will raise the commission invoice by charging the GST. It is like forward charge. It is like forward charge, right? So Swiggy, Zomato, think about, they would have huge amount of the expenditure. स्विगी जोमेटो का क्या होगा, एक बहुत बड़ा सेटअप होगा. देयर वुड बी द सम बिल्डिंग व्हिच इज रेंटेड, देयर वुड बी द सम स्टाफ, देयर वुड बी मल्टीपल कंप्यूटर्स, देयर वुड बी ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ द टेलीफोन बिल. करेक्ट ना? तो स्विगी जोमेटो के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से सोचिए, देयर वुड बी द मल्टीपल इनपुट सर्विस कैपिटल गुड्स. कैन आई से दैट कि for rendering that outward supply, they will incur the huge expenditure. Will they be able to take full ITC? Answer is e-commerce operator like Swiggy, Zomato provide the own service as platform in which it acquire input service on which ECO will avail the ITC. How the restaurant will claim the ITC? Abhinav, restaurant can't claim the ITC. Restaurant cannot claim the ITC. Restaurant in this case, what is the biggest problem of the 9(5)? When you shift the tax liability to pay the tax on other party, when government is shifting the liability to pay the tax on the e-commerce operator, when I am not paying the tax to the government, I will not be entitled to take ITC on my inward supply. Abhinav and everyone, Anil, ये बात तो clear है ना? ये बात तो clear है ना कि जब liability to pay the tax is being shifted on ECO, I would not be entitled to take ITC of my input service, input, capital goods. मुझे कुछ भी ITC नहीं मिलेगा. Am I right? तो यहाँ पे ये डाउट था कि जो ये ITC will be entitled to take ITC? Answer is yes, they will be entitled to take ITC and they are not required to reverse any proportionate ITC. GST to be paid by the supplier on the service not notified under 9(5). So one thing is clear. Do you agree with this? If any service provided by the e-commerce operator, if it is not covered in the 9(5), then who will pay the tax? अगर कोई सर्विस है जो 9(5) में कवर्ड नहीं है, then who will pay the tax on that transaction? Always by the supplier. Always by the supplier. Correct? See, in respect of the supply is not covered in the 9(5), but even that has been services supplied through ECO, the liability to pay the tax would be on the supplier. And on that transaction, TCS would be applicable. So when the TCS will not be applicable, if it is covered under 9(5). अगर 9(5) है तो TCS नहीं कलेक्ट करेगी e-commerce operator. Otherwise, e-commerce operator will collect the TCS. यहां तक बात क्लियर है? The e-commerce operator will raise the invoice in the restaurant service, which you can see normally if you order the food on the Swiggy Zomato. Check the invoice. It will be raised by the Swiggy Zomato. So that part we have discussed. Billing in case of the restaurant services. Suppose there is one transaction. Which is restaurant service and also the supply the goods. So suppose I am a restaurant. I am making the supply the restaurant service and I am also making the supply of the goods. Now the Swiggy has collected both the item from me. I am restaurant. So I have supplied the restaurant services through Swiggy Zomato to Mr. B. Also, I am supplying certain goods and services through Swiggy Zomato to the Mr. B. Assume that there are some goods. Let's say I am also the bakery shop, bakery item. Goods है मेरे, packed food है, भुजिया नमकीन है. Let's say I'm making the supply of the separate food item. This is one restaurant service and assume that other than restaurant I'm supplying the goods. Then this clarification says that in this case, restaurant will have to make the two separate invoice. Because on the restaurant services, Swiggy Zomato will pay the tax as 9(5). And on the other than restaurant services, the liability to pay the tax would be on the restaurant, actual supplier. ठीक है? Sorry. So by this, we have completed the 9 subsection 5. If you have any doubt, you can ask. एक मिनट में मेरा पेज डाउन हो गया था. Let me go back. The classification. So let me talk about certain points for the classification. ठीक है. Let me talk about certain points for the classification. In short, I will discuss the classification in regard to the GST. Abhinav, TCS and TDS rest to be sure, beta. It will be covered separately, but at the end, I will definitely discuss in short. So there are the 2 points I have to discuss. One, I have to clarify to the Mr. Golti regarding that particular omnibus ka concept. And second, Abhinav, to you, TCS versus TDS. In short, I will explain, but at the last. Nitin, if the restaurant is making the supply of the restaurant service through Swiggy, Zomato, and also making the supply of the goods other than restaurant services through Swiggy, Zomato, in that case, they will prepare the 2 separate bill on one transaction. 9(5) would be applicable on the second transaction. The supplier will pay the tax. ठीक है नितिन? Now try to classification. So in short, we are discussing not too much having the weightage. Classification means, see, there would be the classification of the goods. It is called as tariff. So when you see the tariff rate, it will be divided in the section, then chapter, then heading, subheading, and the tariff item. So there are the different rate. Like some goods are chargeable at 1%, 3%, 5%, 12%, 18%, 28%. हर आइटम का टैरिफ रेट अलग अलग होता है. हर आइटम का HSN, वी आर कॉलिंग इट HSN, हार्मोनाइज सिस्टम ऑफ नॉमेनक्लेचर. ठीक है. सो which is maximum 8 digit. So chapter, heading, subheading, tariff are referred to in the schedule of the rate notification. The Indian custom is based on the HSN. HSN stands for the harmonized system of nomenclature. Okay. So similarly, there is a classification of services. Normally it is called as SAC, Service Accounting Code. Again, there will be the coding system. So which rate is applicable on your goods or services, it will be decided by the tariff. And tariff is being divided again. Classification, when you see the tariff, it will be divided in these. Initial 2 digit would be the section, then chapter, then heading, then subheading, then tariff item. Correct? So India has extended the HSN code up to 8 digit. Then classification of the services. Scheme of the classification of the services has been devised under the GST. It is modified version of the United Nations Central Product Classification. Under this scheme, the service of the various description. So the important point, they are always starting with the chapter 99. सर्विस के लिए कौन सा चैप्टर असाइन किया गया 99. इसके अंदर कई सेक्शन है, जैसे कंस्ट्रक्शन सर्विसेज है, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है, फाइनेंशियल है, चैप्टर 7, चैप्टर सेक्शन 7, 8, 9 एटसेट्रा. तो दिस इज द बाइफर्केशन, चैप्टर, सेक्शन, हेडिंग, ग्रुप एंड सर्विस कोड. सो देयर कुड बी द वेरियस रेट जो मैंने आपको बता दिया. Now for example, they are saying the GST rate on the real estate sector. So if you go to the real estate sector, the GST rate basically are 1% and 5%. The effective rate of the GST, again, I am telling you only for your learning perspective, not from examination perspective. Practical understanding आपको दे रहा हूं. What is the effective rate of the GST? Let's say I am making the supply the affordable house. The effective rate is 1%. What is the concept of effective rate? See, if I am making the supply of the affordable house, what is the meaning of the affordable house? 60 square meter in metro and 90 in the non-metro plus value is up to 45 lakh. तो उसे क्या कहते हैं? अफोर्डेबल. इसके ऊपर जीएसटी का रेट कितना है? 1.5%. Actual rate of the GST is 1.5% minus 1/3 deduction on account of land. So land is covered in the schedule 3. Whether GST is leviable on the land, answer is no. So they are saying that we will give the 1/3 deduction on the land. So value of the land is being fixed in the GST. They always interpret the same as 1/3. So now what is the effective tax rate? 1.5% is the actual tax rate, out of which 0.5%, 1/3 portion has been reduced, and therefore the net tax rate 1% is being levied on the affordable house. Similarly, if it is not affordable house, then GST rate, actual GST rate is 7.5% minus 1/3, that is 2.5% minus. Then what is the balance? Balance is 5%. So this is the rate of GST on the real estate sector. So when you will again practically do the things, then you will be able to understand the concept more clearly. What is the effective rate of the tax? What is the actual rate of the tax? What is the meaning of the deduction, etc. ठीक है? I hope it is clear. See, commercial apartments such as shop, offices in a RREP in which the carpet area is not more than 15% of the total carpet area, on which the tax rate is 5% without ITC. If it is a commercial apartment and assume that it is not in RREP, then 18% tax rate would be applicable. Again, 18 is actual tax rate. If it is sale of immovable property under construction, if it is sale of immovable property under construction, then the GST actual tax rate minus 1/3, then the balance will called as effective tax rate. ठीक है? Now the last part, and then we'll move to the composition. We have discussed that there will be the RCM under 9 subsection 3. There would be the RCM under 9 subsection 4. In the 9 subsection 4, the real estate sector is being covered as of now. Real estate sector are covered in the 9 subsection 4. There are the 3 transactions on which RCM is applicable under section 9 subsection 4, and that to be on which sector? Real estate sector. The promoter developer have to pay the tax. What is the big difference in the 9.3 and 9.4? We have discussed in the last class. If you can recall and tell me, what is the difference in the 9.3 and 9.4? Anyone can tell me what is the difference in the 9 subsection 3 and 9 subsection 4? Absolutely correct. 9.3 can be supplier registered or can be the supplier unregistered, but in the 9.4, supplier has to be unregistered. Jaya beta, just replace in the 9 subsection 4, supplier has to be unregistered. In the 9 subsection 4, the supplier has to be unregistered only. So if now try to understand, suppose I'm a promoter developer. I am purchasing the cement. I am purchasing the various things from registered as well as unregistered. They are saying if you are purchasing the cement, it has to be 100% from registered party. If it is any purchase of the cement from unregistered, I, promoter developer, has to pay the tax under RCM because of the 9(4). One is the cement. Second is, if I am purchasing any capital goods, let's say I'm purchasing the plant and machinery, it has to be 100% from registered party. If it is not, then I have to pay the tax under RCM. And first is 80-20. 80-20. What is the meaning of 80-20? So I might be purchasing the various items, like I need the sand, I need the raw material, I need the ink, I need the buzzary, I need any iron items for construction of my building. So whatever I am purchasing, it has to be registered party 80%. Max to max 20 can be unregistered. Max to max 20% can be from unregistered. So if let's say I have purchased 25% from unregistered and 75 from registered, then what is the shortfall? I can say I have to purchase 80% from registered, but I have purchased 75. The shortfall is the 5%. I, being a promoter developer, I need to pay the tax under RCM on 5% of the value. This is the 9(4). Okay. Now let's move to the section 10 composition levy. What is the section 10? What is the section 10? See, government is in any GST, in any taxes regime, like earlier it was VAT, service tax, whatever, they are always having some short of the scheme for the small taxpayer. So they have made one separate scheme. If I am eligible to that scheme, so there would be lesser compliance. What is the composition scheme? Up to 1.5%. Up to 1.5 CR. My turnover, if it is up to 1.5 crore, there would be some category in which 50 lakhs, 75 lakhs is also there. We'll discuss all the category. If I am a small shopkeeper, let's say, I do not like to go to the regular scheme because I have to file monthly return, quarterly return, I have to raise the tax invoice, I have to keep the multiple records. I do not like to go into that. The government is saying there is a composition scheme, you can go for that scheme. What is the benefit? The first benefit is no GST return for entire year, only one return for every year. It means I need to file GSTR 4 after the end of the financial year as per the due date. On quarterly basis, I will pay the tax to the government. That's it. My return compliance would be only one. Yes, there would be the 4 quarterly payment of tax through CMP 08. This is the compliance. Now, government is giving so much of advantage, then they will put some restriction to me. Obviously, they will put some restriction to me. Now try to listen the restriction. It will be covered in the chapter. What is the restriction? The first restriction is I cannot collect the tax from the government, from the customer. Suppose I make the supply of the goods to you, value is 1 lakh. I will collect only 1 lakh from you. Government is saying we will charge the tax very nominal percentage. If you are the trade manufacturer of the goods, we will charge 1%. If you are the trader of the goods, we will charge 1%. If you are the restaurant, we will charge 5%. But this tax you will pay from your own pocket. You will not collect from customer and then pay to the government. No. Whatever the rate is there, that tax I will pay from my own pocket. The name of the document will be bill of supply, which they will issue to the customer. Bill of supply. And it will clearly written on the bill of supply, I am composite dealer, I cannot collect the tax from the recipient. If you ask me the biggest loss to the composition dealer, so I am the manufacturer of the goods. So obviously I will purchase certain raw material from the market. I will purchase the plant and machinery from the market. I, being a composite dealer, cannot claim the input tax credit on my purchase. I am the manufacturer of the goods. I am making the supply of the goods. Whether I am collecting the tax and then paying the tax to the government with actual tax rate? No. Government is collecting the nominal amount, that is 1%. Government is collecting only 1%. So they are saying neither you can collect this 1% from the customer also, nor you can take the ITC whatever you have purchased. Is that clear? They put some more restriction. If I am in Delhi, I cannot make the interstate supply. If I am in Delhi, I cannot make the interstate supply. So can I make the supply from Delhi to Rajasthan? No. But can I make the purchase from Rajasthan to Delhi? Yes. On sale, there is a problem. There is a restriction. But on purchase, there is no restriction. On purchase, there is no restriction. On sale, yes, there is restriction. But on purchase, there is no restriction. Every state, I am giving you the example of Delhi, but it is applicable to all states. I am giving the example. That's it. But yes, it is pan India, same provision. I cannot make the supply. I cannot engage in the supply of the service. Now, regarding the service, we will talk about. Just wait for some time. I'll talk about regarding the every permutation combination of services. If I am registered in state 1, I make the supply within state, no problem. But can I make the supply through Amazon? No. Can I make the supply through Amazon? No. Because on my supply, Amazon will collect the TCS. The supply made through e-commerce operator will collect the TCS. Yes. Then he is not engaged in the supply through e-commerce operator, which is required to collect the tax at source under section 52. Now, please note, earlier, this limitation was for goods also, but they have removed the goods. Now, this limitation is for services only. Try to understand. If I'm making the supply of the goods through Amazon, can I do so? Answer is yes, I can do. Why? Because now they have limited only to the services under section 52. Services supplied through e-commerce operator on which e-commerce operator is collecting that TCS. He is not the manufacturer of the goods as may be notified. What is being notified? Pan masala of tobacco, ice cream. Okay. Pan masala, tobacco, ice cream, etc. You will find these lists here. Give me 1 minute. A second. Give me 1 minute. Let me see that. These item, you can't do the manufacturing of pan masala, tobacco, aerated water, fly ash bricks, fly ash aggregate, fly ash block, bricks of the fossil mill, etc. These items का manufacturing is not allowed in the 10 subsection 1. ठीक है, ठीक है. Let me go again. Then he is neither casual taxable person nor a non-resident taxable person. Very important. Under one pen multiple GSTIN. Under one pen multiple GSTIN. One registered person are having the same permanent account number. More than one registered person having the same permanent account number. The registered person shall not be eligible to opt for the scheme. So let's say I am having the business in state 1, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Karnataka. In multiple states, I have the business. But my company ka PAN number is same. So it says that you cannot opt like composition for one state and regular for other state. No. All should be either under composition or all should be under regular. You cannot opt different scheme. You cannot opt different scheme in the registration. In the multiple registration under the same PAN. Now, let me give you the background of 10 subsection 2A. We are talking about serviceage. See, initially, when the GST was introduced, when the GST was initiated in the country for composition scheme, was only one service which is allowed. Can you tell me which services are allowed in the composition scheme since beginning? कौन सी सर्विस कंपोजिशन स्कीम में सिंस बिगिनिंग अलाउड है? कौन सी स्कीम? मैन्युफैक्चरिंग तो गुड्स की है बेटा. Answer is restaurant. It was allowed since beginning. What is the rate of the taxes on restaurant? So the composition were allowed on 3 category of that business. One is the trading of the goods. One is the manufacturing of the goods. These both are goods. And third is restaurant service. Now, what is the rate of the GST on the restaurant service? Restaurant service. No health. No beta. It is not on health or any other category. जब GST आया तब under composition only restaurant was permitted. The rate of the GST is 5%. Rate of the GST was 5%. 5% means 2.5 CGST and 2.5 SGST, right? So what is the rate of the goods? What is the rate of the goods, whether it is trading or manufacturing? 1%. So it means 0.5 CGST and 0.5 SGST. Aditya, in the composition, the rate on the restaurant is 5%. The rate on the restaurant service is 5% under composition. It was beginning. Then from 1st Feb 2019, they are saying these supplier can provide any service these supplier who either restaurant or trading of the goods or manufacture of the goods, they can provide any service, no limitation, up to 5 lakh or 10% of the aggregate turnover, whichever is higher. Try to understand why they have introduced and why it has been added in the law. So assume that I am sitting in 2018. Now please try to understand you are in the 2018. Okay. You are doing the manufacturing of the laptop and your aggregate turnover is 1 crore. Can you opt for the composition? You are doing the manufacturing of the laptop and your sale was 1 crore only. Can you go for the composition? Answer is yes, I can. But tell me one thing. When you provide the manufacturing of the laptop, will you not provide AMC service also? Will you not give the warranty service also? Will you not give the warranty? Answer is yes, I will give the warranty. So in the industry, there would always be some warranty service. And there would always be the concept of warranty service, additional warranty, extended warranty. Warranty is a goods or service? Warranty is supply of the goods or supply of service? Can you provide any service other than restaurant in the composition in 2018? Can you provide any service other than restaurant in 2018 under composition? No. That was the biggest problem. To cater this requirement. They have added this concept that these three category of the supplier can provide any service up to this amount. So now, yes, Anil, agree. अब क्या हो गया? इतना amount 5 lakh is a good amount or 10% of the aggregate turnover. So I can say if annual aggregate turnover is 1 crore, so this person can provide the service up to 10 lakh, any service, no problem. Now tell me, next question I'm asking to all. I am chartered accountant. I am doing the practice. Can I opt composition? After 2019 also, can I opt composition? So I'm sitting in 2020. Can I opt composition? I'm a chartered accountant doing the practice. My only turnover is below 1.5 crore. Can I go for the composition? Can I opt composition? Answer is no. No. Because I am providing the CA service, which is not the restaurant, which is not the trading of the goods, which is not the manufacturing of the goods. No, it is not falling in any of the category. Therefore, I am barred to opt composition. So they have inserted 10 subsection 2A. So please ignore the year. I have given the 2020. Please ignore that year. So only for the example I've given you, they have initially added the notification and after that they've inserted in the law. What is that? You can provide any service. You can provide any service. Whether you are chartered accountant, whether you are transporter, whether you are providing any service, no problem. You can provide any service. They are saying up to 50 lakhs. Up to 50 lakhs and rate will be 6%. So they have added the new subsection 10 subsection 2A to extend the composition to small service provider also. Now almost all the restrictions are same. Try to understand one thing. Or suppose I'm a teacher. I can go for 10 to A. Now the question is, can Suppose now, so try to understand. Suppose I am providing the teaching in the morning. In the daytime, I have the shop. Kirana shop. Can I do both under the composition? This is my question. Not give the answer. Please do not give the answer. Try to understand what is my question. Now, if I am alone supplier of the goods, I can opt composition. If I am alone supplier of the services, teaching services, I can opt for the new composition. Now I am mixing both. Try to understand. I'm mixing both. Arun is providing the teaching service in the morning. Arun is providing the supply of the goods in the daytime. Can he opt both? Answer is no. No. Can he opt 10-1 and 10-2? Answer is no. Try to understand. 10-2A is available only if you are not eligible for 10-1. What is the meaning? Are you eligible for 10-1? Arun is not eligible for 10-1. Why? Because supplier of the goods is not a problem, but service teaching is a problem. He cannot go for 10-1. If one person is not permitted in 10-1, he can go for 10-2A also. But both cannot be at the same. Now, can I opt 10-2A or 10-2 is only for services? Try to understand. Very important question I'm talking about. Whether 10-2A is only for services or it is for services and goods both. Answer is for both. Absolutely correct, Anil. Teaching is not covered in 10-1. So can I go for 10-2A? 10-2A, there is no problem. There is no problem. I can supply the goods. I can supply the service. No problem. What is the rate I have to pay? I have to pay 6% at least. Not at least. I will pay the GST 6%. Upper limit 50 lakhs. ये बात clear हुआ? Is that clear to all? Is that clear to all? So in that 10-1, we have discussed three categories. Manufacturer of the goods, restaurant, and trader of the goods, right? What is the rate of the taxes? Manufacturer, kitna rate of tax hai? What is the rate of the taxes on the manufacturer? Quickly tell me. One percent. What about restaurant? 5%. What about trader? 1%. What about 10-2A? Answer is 6%. Now my question is very careful. So I am providing taxable supply. I am providing exempt supply. Do these rate are on 1% on taxable item, 1% on taxable or exempt item? Both. Is it only taxable value or taxable and exempted both? My question is whether 1% would be applicable, 5% would be applicable, 6% would be applicable only on the taxable, or it is taxable plus exempt both. Let's see. Try to differentiate. If you are the manufacturer, 1% is both, whether it is taxable or exempt. If you are a restaurant, both. If you are 10 to a, both. Only the trader of the goods, only the trader of the goods will pay the GST at the rate of 1% only on taxable supplies. Is it clear? Is it clear? What is the difference between these? Very important. Manufacturer, restaurant, and 10 to A. It is on both, but only the trader of the goods only on the taxable supplies. So I have taken the registration. I have taken the registration in the GST under composition, let's say on 1st December. Do I need to pay the GST at the rate of 1%, 5%, 6% on the supply made from April to November? I have taken the GST registration under composition on 1st December. Do I need to pay the GST on 1st prior to that of that financial year? Oh, Meda, Tabi, that is the reason I could not see. In between, I have tried to explain the concept of ITC, but no problem. Please watch the video. Answer is, when you've taken the registration, then only you need to pay the GST on that turnover only after that. For the purpose of computing the aggregate turnover. First day of April up to the date when he become liable for registration shall not be included in the value. Okay. One thing I have to explain. Before that, I have to explain one important point also. So I am eligible to opt. See, there is a concept of, let's say, let me move to the now these are the special category state for the purpose of composition scheme. The special category state are different. For the regular category of the registration, special category state are different. So in the composition scheme, the limit is 1.5 crore, and for special category state, limit is 75 lakhs. One number. So in calculating the 75 lakh or 1.5 crore, in calculating the 75 lakh or 1.5 crore, you will not see. You remember the calculation of aggregate turnover? Will I add exempt supply in the calculation of aggregate turnover? Yes or no? Normally, I'm asking. Normally. Oh, fine. मैं ना aggregate turnover के definition पे जाता हूँ. Let me go to the let me explain the meaning of aggregate turnover. For entire GST, I'm talking about aggregate value of all taxable supply, all exempt supply, export, interstate on all India basis, but exclude the GST part. It means if you like to calculate 1.5 crore, if you like to calculate 75 lakh, if you like to calculate 50 lakhs, what is the meaning of aggregate turnover? Aggregate turnover means all taxable supply, exempt supply, export, interstate, everything I have to add. Is it clear? मुझे सबका टोटल करना पड़ेगा to calculate aggregate turnover. But for the composition scheme, for the purpose of composition scheme, they have given one relaxation. One relaxation. What is that relaxation? That you are earning the interest on, like I have the fixed deposit, I have the bank interest. These interests are exempted in the GST. So if I'm earning the interest from bank, if I'm earning the interest from the bank, normally it is an exempt supply. It should be added in the aggregate turnover, but for the composition they are saying not required to add. Which type of the exempt supply will not be added? Only interest on the long-term loan advances will not be added. Now for the composition scheme, it is a double advantage. Why I am saying double advantage? The first advantage, the interest would not be added in the aggregate turnover for the purpose of eligibility. Second advantage, try to understand. I am manufacturer of the goods. Do I need to pay the GST on exempt supply also? Tell me, do I need to pay the GST on exempt supply also? Do I need to pay the GST on exempt supply also? Are see, manufacturer, trader, restaurant, and 10-2A. We have discussed 4 categories. Manufacturer will pay the GST on taxable and exempt supply both. Restaurant will pay the GST on taxable and exempt supply both. Trader will pay the GST on taxable supplies only. 10-2A will pay the GST on taxable as well as exempt supply both. This interest is giving the double advantage. First advantage, in the calculation of aggregate turnover, this interest, even though it is exempt but not added. Second advantage, manufacturer, restaurant, and services required to pay the GST on taxable as well as the exempt supply. But for the purpose of exempt supply, this interest will not be included. So I request that please with me last 10-15 minutes, so that if some concept is missed, we will try to capture that concept and probably you can have the better understanding on that. Okay. So we will start by 8:10. I will complete in 10 minutes. I will complete the discussion in 10 minutes. Okay. So I was explaining this concept. For the purpose of aggregate turnover, this interest value of the exempt supply by way of extending the deposit loan advances insofar it is represented by the interest discount will not be added in the aggregate turnover. And second, they are saying the tax which you will pay 1%, 5%, 6%. This tax you will not pay on two type of the sale. One, which is prior to the liable to take registration. Suppose I was liable to take registration from 1st December 25. Then whatever the sales I have made in this year, from April to November, I will not pay the GST 156 on the sales prior to liable to take registration. First point. Second point, the interest I will not pay the GST on that. The exempt supply of long-term loan advances, etc., which is represented by way of interest or discount, I will not pay the GST on that. I'm talking about composition. So normally we are saying the interest is giving the double advantage to the composition dealer. First, in the calculation of eligibility, 1.5 crore, 75 lakh, 50 lakhs, normally we are adding the taxable supply, exempt supply, export, etc. But we will not add interest insofar composition dealer is there. Second, the manufacturer, the restaurant, and the 10-2A will have to pay the GST on exempt supply also, 156. But again, they will not pay the GST on exempt supply. Which exempt supply? Interest or discount? This we have covered. This we have covered. 10-2A we have covered. 1.5 crore. Taxable supply, exempt supply, export, interstate we have covered. Okay, we have covered this one. This part we have covered. Okay. This I have explained. Again, let me see. Let you please see this chart. I hope it is clear. Kindly see this chart once again. While computing the threshold limit of 1.5 crore 75-50 lakhs, inclusion and exclusion from aggregate turnover, we will add taxable supply, we will add exempt supply, we will add export, we will add interstate, right? What we will not include? GST part we will not include, and value on which RCM is applicable, inward RCM. Plus, we will not include the exempt supply of interest and discount, correct? Then this also include the value of the supplies made by the registered person from April. See, computing the threshold limit, we will see the turnover of entire year, right? मैं eligible हूं या नहीं हूं, whether my turnover cross the threshold limit or it is up to that threshold limit. To count that, I will include the turnover of entire year. ठीक है? This we have discussed. Now, why? See, try to understand. If you see the trader of the goods, what it is written? 0.5%. Why 0.5%? But I told you 1%. I told you 1%, but why they have written 0.5%? Can anybody tell me the reason? उन्होंने तो आधा % ही लिखा, ऐसा क्यों? बट मैंने तो 1% बताया था. Answer is it is CGST. Because we are reading the rule of CGST rule. So 0.5% CGST, then 0.5% SGST. So total 1%. Try to see. 2.5% means restaurant will pay 5% on the turnover in the state or UT. It means it will include taxable as well as exempt. Trader, turnover of goods and services in the state or UT, in between they have added the word taxable supplies. In the trader, they have added the word taxable supplies. What does it mean? It means the trader will have to pay the GST only on the taxable supplies. Other than trader means manufacturer, restaurant, or 10-2A will pay the GST on entire sale, whether taxable, whether exempt. Okay, so I'm not going to the illustrations. 10-2A we have discussed. If there is any chart. हाँ, ये चार्ट और समझिए, वापस समझिए. This please understand this chart. See, while computing the turnover in the state or UT to pay the tax under composition, inclusion and exclusion, what you will include? All taxable supplies, all exempt supply you will add. But if you are trader, you will not add any exempt supply. Second, while computing the turnover in the state utility and restaurant eligible for composition trader for the exempt supply. What you will not include? Taxes you will not include, RCM you will not include, and these two are important. I will not include for the purpose of paying the taxes. I will not include the sale prior to liable to take registration. The sales made in that financial year prior to liable to take registration, I will not include. Next, I will not include interest or discount. Clear? Is it clear? Interest is giving the double advantage. Interest is giving the double advantage. First advantage, it will not be added to calculate the upper limit of the composition dealer, 1.5 crore, 75 lakh. Second, it will not be considered for the purpose of paying the tax as exempt supply. Okay. So by this, I have completed my composition chapter also. So 10% 5 lakh, whichever is higher, that I have discussed. Interest income to be, we have discussed. The provision relating to the, now try to understand rule 5. They are saying certain more restrictions. He shall pay the tax under 9394. If I am composition dealer, then also RCM is applicable to me. Suppose I have received legal services. Suppose I have received GTS services. I have to pay the tax under RCM. And whatever the rate is applicable, suppose I am receiving the legal service, I have to pay 18%. Can I take the ITC? Can I take the ITC? I am composition dealer. I have received the inward service from advocate. I have paid the tax under RCM. Can I take the ITC? The answer is no. Answer is no. Composition dealer cannot take the input tax credit. Composition dealer cannot take the input tax credit. ठीक है, आगे बढ़ते हैं. Is neither a casual nor a non-resident. Composition, this word they have to write on the top of the bill of supply. Composition taxable person not eligible to collect the tax. Then he will have to mention the word composition taxable person also on every notice board, etc. ठीक है. What items are not allowed? Ice cream, pan masala, tobacco, aerated water, fly ash bricks, bricks of fossil mills, building bricks, earthen roofing tiles. These items are under the restriction category. Again, opt-in and opt-out. There is a concept of opt-in or opt-out. Suppose I am become ineligible from the composition, I have to give the intimation to opt out. Or when I am taking the registration. Now rule 3 and rule 4. Let me tell you in short. So if I am opting the composition scheme, I can, if I am a regular dealer and I am shifting from regular to composition, it can be only effective from the start of the financial year. So I'm giving this example. If I am switching over from the regular to the composition, I cannot switch in between. The effective date of the composition will be the beginning of the next financial year only. Suppose I like to go for composition from next month. Can I go from composition to the next month? If I'm already registered, can I switch? Answer is no. You have to go for composition only from the start of the next financial year, that is 1st April 2026 only. But if someone is registered, newly registered, obviously he can take the registration under the compositions. Validity of the composition, it will be valid till the time I am satisfying all the conditions. What are the conditions? Multiple conditions we have discussed, that he cannot make an interstate supply, he cannot collect the tax from the customer, he should not engage in the manufacturing of pan masala, etc. ठीक है. So if I am disqualifying or I become ineligible from composition, I have to opt out within 7 days of occurring of that event. Suppose I start making the interstate supply. Suppose I start manufacturing of the pan masala. I have to opt out from the composition within 7 days. ठीक है. So these things you can read. If you have the doubt, you can discuss. ठीक है. Cannot collect that tax, we have discussed. Cannot enter into the credit chain, we have discussed. Imposition of the penalty, that is okay. Let's recap. So by this we have completed. Now let me come first 2 points somebody has asked. Let me tell you. I think Anil, you have asked the question. Are you there? Anil, are you there? Just confirm so that I can take up first your point, then second the point of TCS and TDS. Anil, just confirm. Are you there? I think Anil is not there. So who has asked the question of TCS and TDS? Abhinav. What is the TCS and what is the TDS under GST? Let me tell you. If A is making the supply through e-commerce operator to any other person, ठीक है? Example, goods, supplying the goods through Amazon, Flipkart, Blinkit, etc. Then if B is making the payment to ECO and ECO is making the payment of that particular supply to A, then he will collect the TCS, and the balance amount will remit to the Mr. A. This TCS e-commerce operator has to take the new category of the registration, has to take the new registration for the TCS. He will file the GSTR 8. He will deposit the TCS to the government against the GSTIN number of the Mr. A. And Mr. A can claim this amount as he can add, rather I should say, whatever the amount that is collected, he can add in the electronic cash ledger by filing one statement. Is that clear? Small concept of TCS. And TCS is not applicable. TCS is not applicable on 9 subsection 5. Is that clear? मैं रिपीट करता हूं कुलदीप. I'll repeat once again. Any transaction other than 9.5, which is being made through e-commerce operator, then like A is making the supply of the goods through Flipkart to Mr. B. Then Mr. B is making the payment to A, making the payment to ECO, and ECO in turn making the payment to A. Then while ECO make the payment to A, he will reduce the TCS amount. This TCS amount will be deposited through GSTR 8. Once he file the GSTR 8, this TCS amount will be visible to A. A can add the amount in the cash ledger by filing one statement. So there is no loss. What is the reason? This transaction should be in the eyes of the government. See, there is no loss of the A. There is no loss of A. Why they are adding the compliance on the ECO? Because ECO would be the sizable big company. If they will report some transaction, so they can ensure to the government, yes, this supply is made through my platform. Therefore, A cannot do the tax evasion. Is that clear? Kuldeep and everyone. हाँ, Mustafa, I will come you. हाँ, just to reduce, right. अब यहाँ पे क्या करो, just change the example. Now A is making the supply to the government. So who are eligible, who are falling under the TDS category, you can refer the section 51 in more detail. Here I am telling you in short. मैं आपको सारे प्रोविजन एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर रहा हूं, जस्ट शॉर्ट में बता रहा हूं. Mr. A is making the supply to the government and assume that total contract value is more than 2.5 lakh. Then government, while making the payment to Mr. A, they will deduct the TDS. They will deduct the TDS, and this government will take the registration under TDS category, file the GSTR 7, file the GSTR 7, and this GSTR 7, once they will file, it will be visible to A. A can add this TDS amount in the electronic cash ledger. Again, there is no loss to the A, only government will have the eyes on the transaction. Government will come to know, yes, this transaction was happened. TCS and TDS are almost same. The purpose of collection or deduction is only there could not be any possibility by supplier to evade the taxation. Very simple. Fine. Is it okay? Jaya, when you make the supply to the government more than 2.5 lakh contract value, हाँ, मैं एक्सप्लेन करता हूं. अनिल, एक बार मुझे कंप्लीट करने दो टीडीएस का, एंड वंस आई विल कम टू यू व्हाटएवर यू आस्क्ड द पॉइंट. ठीक है. अगर जया, अगर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट का वैल्यू इज मोर देन 2.5 लाख, total contract, it could be one invoice, it could be multiple invoice. If the total contract value more than 2.5 lakh, then government will deduct the TDS, and this TDS, it will be deposited by the GST return, and once it will be deposited by the GST return, it will be visible to A. A can add the amount of deducted, can again add the amount in the cash ledger. So actually there is no loss, only the transaction will be routed by the government entity, local authority, etc. See, there will be the various work contractor. Na? See, like A is a work contractor. A is providing the work contract service to the railway. A is providing the work contract service to the railway. Then what the railway will do, when railway will make the payment to Mr. A, railway will deduct the TDS. And this TDS will be deposited through GSTR 7. And this GSTR 7 deduction will appear in Mr. A. A can add the amount in the cash ledger. No loss to the A. Only point that GST department will have the awareness about the value of the transaction. Is that clear? एक बार कंफर्म करना बेटा. ठीक है. अब मैं लास्ट डिस्कशन में आता हूं, बहुत ज्यादा टाइम हो गया, लास्ट डिस्कशन में आता हूं. नाउ first is Anil and everyone, you tell me that if A is a supplier making the supplies through 95 ECO to the Mr. B, who will pay the tax to the government? A is the actual supplier and ECO is the deemed supplier. Who will pay the tax to the government? No doubt, ECO will pay the tax to the government. Will A pay the tax to the government? Will A pay the tax to the government? No. Now suppose A has purchased certain, he has have certain input service and capital goods. Can he claim the benefit of ITC? Can he claim the benefit of the ITC? Because he is not paying the tax to the government. He is not paying tax to the government. Some other party is paying the tax. Whether this A is paying the tax to the government? No, he is not paying the tax. So no ITC. No ITC. ये वाला पॉइंट सबको क्लियर है ना? अनिल, आपको भी क्लियर है? Now government has excluded one transaction, that if you are providing, if you are the company plus you are providing the transportation of passenger service through omnibus, let's say through Ola Uber to Mr. B, will the 95 be applicable? Will the 95 be applicable? Who will pay the tax? Who will pay the tax? Whether 9(5) is applicable? No, it is not applicable. Who will pay the tax to the government? Company will pay the tax to the government. Company will pay the tax to the government, and therefore, if he has purchased, if he has certain input service or capital goods, he would be entitled to claim the ITC. Can I say he would be entitled to claim the ITC? And that was the reason, because the company omnibus sizable amount of the expenditure. So therefore, might be trade as represented to the GST Council, and government has considered, taken into account, and they have changed the provision. Is it clear? Anil, एक बार confirm करना. Second question you have asked, that means example Domino's delivery through Swiggy, then only Swiggy will pay tax and Domino's will not get the ITC. Yes, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Mustafa, very nice, beta. Mustafa, you have asked the question of RCM and FCM, right? You have asked the question of RCM and FCM. So, if let's say I am a chartered accountant, if I am registered in the GST, correct? Then suppose my value of the service is 10,000. I will charge the GST and raise the invoice. My customer will pay 11,800 to me, and I will pay to the government 1,800. I will pay to the government 1,800. It is called as forward charge. Forward charge means supplier is raising the invoice by charging the GST, and whatever the GST, the customer will pay the GST, including the amount, will pay the GST to the supplier, and I, being a CA, I will keep the value with me, and GST will be paid to the government. It is called the forward charge mechanism. Let's replace the word with the, instead of CA, let's say now it is an advocate. If advocate provide the service to the, let's say, client XYZ Limited, GST, answer is no. Can he add the GST? Answer is no. Why no? If advocate provide the service to the XYZ Limited, value is 10,000. Will he charge the GST? No. Why? Because it is covered under reverse charge mechanism. What is the meaning of reverse charge? XYZ will directly pay to the government this 1,800. This is the difference. And in the last class, we have discussed all the permutation combination of RC. Is that clear, beta? Advocate cannot say which is exempt. Absolutely, Kuldeep, beta. We will say that it is covered. See, Kuldeep, that was since beginning. Since beginning, I can say in the GST, prior to the GST, service tax was also there. That was the reason. There is no specific reason also. Any other? Let me now. But if Mr. A provide the, now I think so. But if Mr. A registered the GST providing the service, Sri Kumar has asked the question. If Mr. A is registered under GST providing the service to the customer directly without using the issue, then he will be eligible. Absolutely. Sri Kumar, just confirm that your question, yes, he will liable to pay the tax under forward charge, and therefore he will be eligible to take the ITC. Correct? Sri, if you there. 80-20 concept in 9.4. Anil, in case of the promoter developer, for cement, it has, so they have fixed the percentage. If I'm purchasing the cement, 100% from registered party. If I'm purchasing the capital goods, 100% from registered. Rest all the item, they are giving the small relaxation. So there can be sand, there can be the multiple items of input service. A small item would be there. So they are giving this ratio. What is the basis of the ratio? No base. Similarly, if I am promoter developer, other than capital goods, other than cement, rest all my input service, 80-20. 80 means it has to be 80 from registered, max to max 20 can be from unregistered. If it is more than that, I have to pay the GST under RCA. That was the concept. Any question? If it is pending, let me please ask. Fine. Rupesh, you like to ask any question? Kindly type in the chat so that I can start the quick round of the question answer. Rupesh, I think you have raised the hand. I request karunga beta. My voice is coming. एक बार कंफर्म करना whether my voice is coming. But voice आ रहा है, right? So I think there is some buffering in the Zoom. So मैं speak कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है? Buffering in the Zoom यार. ठीक है. So now let me start the quick round of the question answer. Whatever you are the question, now keep for some time. If you allow me after 5 or 10 minutes, let me spend the time 10 minutes on the quick round of the question answer. Starting 9 subsection 5, we have discussed multiple categories. In that category, I was saying that there was 2 category which will not covered in the 9.5 if the supplier is registered. My voice is, whether my voice is okay? My voice is okay? Fine. Let me repeat the question. There are the 2 category of the services which will not be under 9.5 if the supplier is registered. Housekeeping and hotel accommodation. Absolutely correct answer. Multiple times we have discussed, but let me again ask, which category of the transportation of passenger will be under forward charge and will not be under 9.5? Which category of the transportation of passenger service will be under forward charge and not under 9.5? Only omnibus? Only omnibus? If only omnibus or omnibus provided by the, yes, both the condition has to be satisfied. Omnibus provided by the company. Omnibus provided by the company. Can composition dealer collect the tax from the customer? The answer is no. Answer is no. He cannot collect the tax from the customer. HSN code is, India has adopted how many digit of HSN code? Fine. Can you tell me what is the name of the HSN? What is the full name of the HSN code? Full name of the HSN. What is the meaning of HSN? Name of the HSN. Full name of the HSN. HSN. H का मतलब क्या? S का मतलब क्या? N का मतलब क्या? Yes. Harmonized system of nomenclature. Absolutely correct, beta. Harmonized system of the nomenclature. Which document will be, what is the name of the document which will be issued by the composition dealer to the customer? Name of the document which will be issued by the composition dealer to the customer. Bill of supply. Can you tell me which categories are not permitted in the composition dealer? Can you tell me which categories are not permitted in the composition? कौन सी कैटेगरी है जिसकी मैं मैन्युफैक्चरिंग करता हूं? कौन से गुड्स हैं जो मेरे को अलाउड नहीं है कंपोजिशन में? Which goods are not allowed in the composition scheme? Which goods are not allowed in the composition scheme? पान मसाला टोबैको. Only manufacturing या manufacturing as well as trading? इनकी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग अलाउड नहीं है, या मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्लस ट्रेडिंग दोनों अलाउड नहीं है? मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एंड ट्रेडिंग दोनों अलाउड नहीं है या ओनली मैन्युफैक्चरिंग अलाउड नहीं है? आंसर इज ओनली मैन्युफैक्चरिंग. आंसर इज ओनली मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इज प्रोहिबिटेड, नॉट बोथ. नॉट बोथ. Not both. Trading, I can do the trading of the pan masala, ice cream, etc. No problem. Only manufacturing is not permitted. ठीक है. Next question. We know that there are various category: manufacturing, trading, restaurant, other. In which categories I have to pay the tax on the taxable supplies? Answer is trading. Answer is trading item. Can you tell me? Can you tell me the GST का tax rate on the real estate sector if it is affordable house? GST tax rate on the GST tax rate on the affordable house. Whether 1%, answer is 1%. 1% is actual tax rate or effective tax rate? It is actual tax rate or effective tax rate? Effective tax rate. What is the actual tax rate? What is the actual tax rate? What is the actual tax rate? One 1.5%. And what is the difference between 1.5 and 5? How the one is being calculated? Actual tax rate is 1.5. How the one is being calculated? Yes, the 1/3 का deduction on account of land. On account of land. ठीक है. Very nice, beta. Very nice. Can you tell me this upper threshold limit for special category state under 10(1)? If I'm a special category state, then what is the maximum threshold limit for composition? 75 lakh. If I'm an other than special category state, then if I'm under the other state, then 1.5 crore. 1.5 crore. And what is that 10 to A? What is the upper threshold limit of 10 to A? 50 lakh. Can I carry 10(1) and 10 to A both? Can I carry 10(1) and 10 to A both? Can I carry 10(1) and 10 to A both at the same time? Answer is no. Answer is no. Whether 10 to A is only permitted for services or goods are allowed? Whether 10 to A only permitted for services or goods and services both are allowed? Both are allowed. What is the tax rate? What is the tax rate under 10 to A? 6%. In the 10(1), I heard, that I can provide any service up to some amount. Can you tell me what is the amount? In the 10(1), I can provide any service up to certain limit, up to certain amount. What is that amount? Yes. Yes. I'm talking about 10(1). See, whomsoever is giving the answer 50 lakh, you are giving me the answer of 10 to A, upper threshold limit. No, my question is under 10(1). I know that restaurant, trader and manufacturer are allowed, but there was an amendment. I can provide any service up to certain amount. What was that amount? Answer is 5 lakh or 10%, whichever is higher, whichever is lower. 5 lakh or 10% of the turnover, whichever is higher, whichever is lower. Answer is whichever is higher. Whichever is higher. ठीक है, whichever is higher. Can I make the supply of the goods through e-commerce operator under composition? Can I make the supply of the goods under composition through ECO, liable to collect TCS? The answer is yes. Answer is yes. What is not permitted? Service are not permitted. What is not permitted? Service are not permitted. Goods has been allowed. Remember always. Goods has been allowed. Only services are being restricted. Which services? 52 wala ya 95 wala? Or both? I am making the supply the service through e-commerce operator. Which e-commerce operator who are liable to collect TCS under section 52 or who are liable to pay the tax under section 95 or both? कौन से ईसीओ के माध्यम से मैं सप्लाई नहीं कर सकता सर्विस का? कौन सा ईसीओ? 95 वाला ईसीओ, 52 वाला ईसीओ या दोनों? मैं एक बार आपको बता देना चाहता हूं कि मैं क्या क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा हूं आपसे, सो दैट यू शुड बी रिमेंबर दैट. एक मिनट रुको. I am asking the question. He is not engaged in the supply the service. Which service? Through ECO, who is liable to collect TCS under section 52. 95 not restricted and goods not restricted. These 2 points I like to highlight. Okay. Is it clear? Only services are being restricted and which ECO who are liable to collect TCS. Who are liable to collect TCS. In the 9 subsection 4 that we have discussed, in the 9 subsection 4 reverse charge, what is the ratio for the capital goods? 80. What is the ratio that should be purchased from registered party? If it is a capital goods, then how much percentage I have to procure from registered person? If it is a capital goods, then it should be, if it is a capital goods, then 100% from registered party. If it is a cement, what is the percentage of registered and unregistered? If it is a cement, what is the percentage of registered and unregistered? 100% from registered party. So 3 items. If it is cement, 100% from registered. If it is capital goods, 100% from registered. And rest input and input service, 80-20 का ratio. Rest input and input service, 80-20 का ratio. Rest input and input service, 80-20 का ratio. Last question for the day. I always use the word in the class that interest is giving the double advantage to the composition. How? I always use the word that interest is given the double advantage to the composition dealer. Kaise? How? Last question from my side. This is the last question from my side. My last question is that I am always using the word that interest is giving the double advantage to the composition dealer. How? What is the 2 advantage that interest with respect to interest to the composition dealer? First is no, Deepika, that was not my question. First is the calculation of aggregate turnover. They will not count the interest. For the composition dealer, the interest will not be included. And second, for the purpose of paying the taxes, they will not include interest for payment of tax. Correct? Can we take what? Can I take 2 more minutes? 2 more minutes. Only 2 more minutes. I have to revise the 9.5. 2 more minutes maximum. The 9 subsection 5, whether it will be added in the aggregate turnover of supplier or ECU. The sale of 9.5, will it be added in the supplier ka turnover or will it be added in the ECU ka turnover? Who will issue? Answer is supplier. Who will issue the tax invoice to the customer? Who will issue the tax invoice to the customer? Who will issue the tax invoice to the customer? Who will issue the tax invoice to the customer? Answer is e-commerce operator. E-commerce operator, not supplier. Anil, e-commerce operator. We have discussed the clarification given by the CBIC. Okay. Will the ECO pay the tax under RCM on the inward supplies? Will the ECO pay the tax under RCM? Fine. Wait. 1 minute. Let me repeat my question once again. The supplies by the restaurant through ECO, whether ECO will be treated, whether ECO is considered as receiving the inward supply on which RCM is applicable. क्या 9.5 की सप्लाई ECO के लिए ये इनवर्ड RCM की सप्लाई है? Will it be an inward RCM supply? Answer is no. It is not RCM. Never use the word RCM for this transaction. This is a single transaction. It is not a two transaction. It is a single transaction. Okay, मैं rephrase करता हूं शारदा. I am saying that जो 9.5 का सप्लाई है वो क्या ECO के लिए inward supply is liable to RCM है? Will the 9.5 supply is an inward supply liable to RCM for the ECO? The answer is no. Whether ECO is required to reverse proportionate ITC. Whether ECO is required to reverse the proportionate ITC. Answer is no. Answer is no. Answer is no. Whether ECO is required to reverse the proportionate ITC, answer is no. So by this, I have completed my discussion. Thank you very much. Any point, if you like to ask, please ask. By this, sorry, I have taken too much time. I have taken slight extra, but मुझे थोड़ा सा वो बीच में टाइम लग गया था. So that is the reason. Thank you बेटा. Thank you. रिवीजन करो अच्छे से, पढ़ाई करो अच्छे से. You will all will clear the exam. All will clear the exams. And please add me in your network. LinkedIn पे मुझे ऐड कर लेना अरुण छाजेड़ के नाम से. And once you clear the exams, please inform me. जब भी आप अपने एग्जाम में पास करते हो तो मुझे इन्फॉर्म करना मत भूलिएगा, ठीक है ना? That is the only request. Goodbye to all of you. Good night. सर डन, आप क्लोज कर सकते.